Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, assalamu alaikum, and welcome all viewers. I've been getting a lot of requests to speak on the situation with Brunei, a country that wants to implement the Sharia, Islamic law, and as a result, they're getting so much backlash from the West. So I wanted to talk about that for a little bit. Now, number one, I think that America, for example, they have to get off their high horse in regards to looking down and scoffing at other people's judicial systems. Because America, for example, its bread and butter is freedom, right? It's all about freedom. That's why they're even upset with Brunei in the first place. You're not giving people the freedom to commit adultery and be a homosexual and so on and so forth. So America, it's all about freedom, yet they have the highest rate of incarceration in the world. Think about that. Let that sink in for a second. The country that is most pro-freedom has the highest rate of incarceration. Something's wrong here. America, who when they waged a war on drugs, the situation has just gotten progressively worse. Look at the drug problem in America. America, who is so concerned about giving people the freedom to sleep around, be promiscuous, do whatever you want sexually, at the expense of the family, of children. Why don't children have the right to be born into the world? People are taking away the right for children to even be born, let alone be raised in a household that has a husband and wife, that has a father and a mother. What about their rights? People have to wake up and realize you can't have your cake and eat it too. Now, specifically, let's talk about the Sharia. Let's talk about Islamic law when it comes to stoning adulterers, for example. There are essentially three ways that somebody can be charged with committing adultery. One is that the person admits it. Why would they admit it? Because certain people believe in God and they would rather have their punishment in this life than in the hereafter. So some people who commit adultery, they'll come forth and they'll say, I'm guilty, I did such and such, and I want the punishment. The second way is for somebody to actually have 4 witnesses see them commit the act. And many Islamic scholars say that this has never happened throughout the history of Islam. And the third way, which there is a difference of opinion regarding, is if the woman gets pregnant, because that can be a clear sign that she committed adultery or fornication. But spoiler alert, that doesn't apply to homosexuality because homosexuals can't get each other pregnant. Now, I know a lot of you, when you hear about these laws, the only frame of reference you have is to the judicial system in your own country. And it's no secret that in America, unfortunately, there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of corruption in the judicial system, and there is a lot of corruption amongst the police officers, unfortunately. A lot of people are very afraid of the police in America. Many of us, especially depending on where you live, you have been harassed by the police. You've been out minding your own business, not breaking any laws, but they will pull you over, they will approach you, they will ask you questions, they will be all up in your business. So of course, when you think about these sorts of laws being implemented in a Muslim country, you're going to bring all that baggage with it. You might think that cops are going around, are you a homosexual? Are you committing adultery? And that they just grab you and drag you out in the streets and they stone you or something like that. That's not how it works. The point of these laws is to deter people from committing these acts. I've lived in a Muslim country for almost 10 years now. I've never been less afraid of the police. I've never been bothered by the police. The point of these strict laws is to deter people from committing these acts. And if they do commit them, you better not commit them in public. The same goes for apostates in Islam, for example. A lot of people always bring that up. What happens to apostates in Islam? Well, the point is that in Muslim countries, there are many people who don't believe in Islam, but they have to keep it to themselves. Don't bring all that stuff out into the public. Once you bring all these things out in public, you are going to destroy this society. So they have strict laws so that people don't commit these acts, or they at least do it secretively and privately. Now, you might not agree with that, and we can agree to disagree, but you guys at least need to have a realistic perspective of the reality of these laws in these societies. And you also need to get off your high horse because so many of the problems that Muslim countries don't have, you guys have. Your laws don't work. Their laws work. But a lot of you guys have been brainwashed. You have no clue what you're talking about. All due respect, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what it's like in Muslim countries. You don't even realize all of the corruption and all of the horrific things that are going on around you in your society. Yet because you've been brainwashed and indoctrinated, you think that you live in the greatest place with the greatest laws and everything. You guys are so progressive and smart. And then all of these other countries who don't have half of the problems that you guys have, that they're backwards. You need to get off your high horse, realize that you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you want to have freedom to fornicate and to do this and to do all this sexual perversion and promiscuity out in your society, it's not going to be without any expense. Diseases are going to spread, the family structure is going to collapse, and as we can see, the crime rate rises. A lot of people who come from broken homes, they disproportionately end up in prison. Your drug laws obviously aren't working. They're not fixing the problem. On the contrary, we see that there is this drug culture, even worse now than it used to be. More kids are on drugs. We see musicians now, they're encouraging people to take drugs. It used to be that in hip hop, for example, people would brag about selling drugs, which is very problematic in and of itself. Now we have the new generation, they're promoting using drugs. Muslim countries that implement the Sharia, they don't have drug problems like this. People need to snap out of it and realize you can't have your cake and eat it too. When you see Islamic countries having strict laws regarding certain things, it's to deter it. It's so that it doesn't exist in their society. And when these things don't exist in a society, the rest of the society flourishes. And let me make one thing clear. I am an American, born and raised in America. I want America to thrive and be a nice, safe place where people can live and enjoy their lives. But I see the opposite happening. I see drug problems getting worse, the family structure crumbling. So when I see other societies who have laws that fix all these problems, and then you have all these people in America condemning them, it's very scary. When are people going to wake up? When are people going to stop being misled and indoctrinated by the media? You don't have to agree with everything, but a lot of you guys haven't the slightest clue about the reality of these laws, about Islam, about the Sharia. You haven't the slightest clue. There's no depth to your thinking. You have no critical thinking skills. You say you're the freest country, but you have the most people incarcerated. You sit there and act like you're so much better than countries who don't have the problems you have. They don't have the drug problems, the broken homes, the STDs and promiscuity and the immorality widespread. They don't have that. And you sit there on your high horse and scoff at them and act like you're so much better than them. You need to wake up, open your mind, educate yourself. And Allah knows best. That's all that I wanted to say. Thank you for watching. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.